Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're going on a journey through some of cinema's most mind-bending moments. Yes, I'm talking about plot twists, and we're starting with some spine-tingling ones. That's because they come from horror movies.
It's hard to beat twists like this. Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 plot twists in horror movies. For this list, we're looking at the very best times that horror films shocked us to the core with unexpected plot twists that left our jaws on the floor. Because we're talking about plot twists, be warned, there will be heavy spoilers ahead. Number 20. Esther is actually an adult woman. Orphan. We wouldn't be at all surprised if this 2009 horror movie turned a lot of prospective parents off the idea of adoption, especially when you consider the terrifying twist.
Everything about her could be a lie. Everything.
We have her passport, her birth certificate,
These are
school
papers,
records,
Johnny.
medical
These are
records.
papers from halfway around the world.
What is this? It's a piece of paper.
After Kate and John adopt a young girl named Esther, the two struggle to get their new family member to open up. Tensions mount as Esther manipulates her new family, with only Kate suspecting something's wrong.
It causes proportional dwarfism. She only looks like a child. According to our records, Lena Klammer was born in 1976. She's 33 years old.
In a truly shocking moment, Kate learns too late that Esther, or perhaps we should say Lena, is really a 33-year-old woman who suffers from a medical disorder that stunts her growth. Not only that, but Lena is a cold-blooded killer.
Why was she at your hospital?
She's dangerously ill, violent. She killed 7 people that we know of.
Suddenly, the kid from Problem Child doesn't look so bad. Number 19. Tom was the Invisible Man all along. Or was he? The Invisible Man. Lee Winnell reinvented one of Universal's classic horror characters for the modern era in this 2020 film.
What is happening?
After barely escaping the clutches of her cruel tech mogul partner Adrian, protagonist Cecilia begins to believe that her ex is using cutting-edge invisibility technology to stalk her.
If you fight me, I won't ever hurt you. I'll find someone you love and hurt them instead.
Her terrifying suspicion proves correct, but with a twist. After the unseen assailant is shot and unmasked, he's revealed to actually be Adrian's brother Tom. But even this revelation is thrown into doubt, with Cecilia insisting this is just another facet of Adrian's twisted plot.
That it was you, not your brother.
Just goes to show that you cannot always believe what you see, or don't see in this case. Number 18. Marie Unmasked. High Tension. What begins as a quiet weekend of studying quickly turns nightmarish in this French horror thriller. And if the shocking violence doesn't leave an impression, the twist definitely will.
Bon, dans la cuisine! Alex est vedette, je peux rien faire toute seule, tu comprends?
The story follows 2 college girls, Marie and Alex, who stay with Alex's parents in their secluded home to study. But a sadistic killer arrives on their doorstep, taking out Alex's parents and kidnapping her. It's seemingly up to Marie to save Alex from certain death, until we learn that almost the entire scenario has been a fantasy playing out in Marie's head, and she's been the one maiming her way through numerous victims.
Vous êtes sûre qu'elle me voit pas?
It's a shame, because besides the whole being the killer part, she was a great protagonist. Number 17. The old couple is possessed. The Skeleton Key. Being a live-in nurse is a demanding and often thankless job under the best of circumstances. Never mind when there are paranormal shenanigans going on.
She says you see him in the mirrors.
After being taken on to care for an elderly man living with the after effects of a stroke, Nurse Caroline begins to suspect the man's wife Violet of foul play.
I don't believe. No!
This comes after Caroline finds a secret room filled with the tools of hoodoo magic in the attic, which is generally a red flag that something hinky's going on. But rather than simply a practitioner of hoodoo, Violet is revealed to be possessed by the spirit of a hoodoo magician from nearly 100 years prior.
It's harder every time. They just don't believe like they used to. Gotta get them riled up.
Yep, we'd quit too. Number 16. It's all staged. April Fool's Day. A typical twist in a horror movie involves the identity of the killer or killers. But the twist in this 80s slasher takes a different route by revealing there isn't a killer at all. Things seem par for the course as far as slasher movies go, when the bodies begin to pile up at a fancy party thrown by a group of old college friends. But imagine the audience's surprise when it turns out the events of the movie were just an incredibly elaborate rehearsal for a murder mystery night, and nobody was ever in any danger.
What's this all about? And don't anyone say April Fools again, or I'll rip them apart.
How's that for a twist? This slasher movie wasn't a slasher movie at all. Number 15, The Ancient Ones, The Cabin in the Woods. After their cabin trip is spoiled by some pesky zombies, friends Marty and Dana discover a massive facility full of monsters beneath the cabin. And after a surprise appearance by Sigourney Weaver herself, the pair learns the deeper truth, that the events of the film were an elaborate ritual to appease a group of elder gods who want nothing more than to see groups of teenagers meet their messy demise again and again.
They want to see us punished.
Punished for what?
For being young?
You don't need a film degree to figure out that The Ancient One's craving for routine carnage is a somewhat scathing commentary on horror audiences, crystallizing the film's deconstruction of tired horror tropes and imploring filmmakers to try something new.
Maybe it's time for a change.
Number 14. Those aren't the real grandparents. The Visit. Director M. Night Shyamalan's reputation as the king of the twist ending is somewhat well-deserved, as most of his movies contain at least one shocking twist.
We made a decision. Just you go. We're having a great time.
Yeah.
Heck, this isn't even the only movie of his on this very list. The twists can get more than a little stale, but there's just something about this one that gives us the creeps.
Nana? Nana, you okay?
Good afternoon.
After an odd yet seemingly innocent weekend at their grandparents', teens Becca and Tyler receive a shocking revelation that those aren't their grandparents.
Where are Nana and Pop-Up? You've been staying with those people the whole time?
This reveal comes hot on the heels of a number of strange occurrences the pair had experienced, suddenly ratcheting up the already high tension to stratospheric levels. Number 13. Red is Adelaide. Us. Jordan Peele's electrifying follow-up to Get Out did not disappoint, mixing great horror movie scares with a powerful undercurrent of social commentary even before you get to the shocking final reveal.
They can't hurt you. You understand?
After narrowly escaping her tethered doppelganger with her life and family intact, Mother Adelaide seems to be in the clear.
Just want my little girl back.
Except the audience is clued in via flashback that the woman we've been following for the whole film is the tethered. Adelaide and her tethered were switched during childhood, meaning the raspy-voiced Red was actually the original, out for revenge after being exiled below ground. It's a twist that casts the entire movie in a new light, just like a great twist always does. Number 12. Samara is now free. The Ring. We're betting that up until this infamous moment in the 2002 remake of the Japanese horror sensation, the protagonists were patting themselves on the back.
You weren't supposed to help her.
It's okay now. She's not gonna hurt you.
After all, it's not every day you get to put the vengeful spirit of a dead child to rest, but you forgot that you made a copy, didn't you? Now your ex is dead and you have to continue passing the curse on in order to save your child. Great job. In all seriousness, the twist that the terrifying Samara was not put to rest by uncovering her grave and will continue to wreak vengeance on the living is still one of our favorites. And we still can't see TV static without shuddering. Number 11. The call is coming from inside the house. Black Christmas.
A phone company's on the other line, sir. They say they got a trace on this one.
Yeah, let's have it.
In this 1970s Canadian slasher flick, the residents of a sorority house are plagued by a string of obscene and disturbing phone calls. But things just get worse when several of the residents are found dead, and the killer is behind the obscene calls. In the film's most iconic scene, a telephone company employee frantically traces the location of the mysterious caller, and eventually discovers that the calls are coming from a second line, inside the sorority house.
For Christ's sakes, Nash, you got it wrong. That's where the calls are going into. That's where they're coming from, too, sir.
It's it's a terrifying reveal, one that kicks the tension in the film into overdrive, with the revelation that protagonist Jess is far from safe despite being indoors and under police watch.
Just tell her to put down the phone and walk straight out the front door.
Number 10. The Coagula Procedure. Get Out. Once again, Jordan Peele manages to pull off a twist that's not only terrifying on the surface, but casts the entire film up to that point in a new light.
I know what you're thinking.
What?
Come on, I get it. White family, black servants, it's a total cliche.
After meeting his girlfriend's parents for the first time, Chris begins to suspect something is amiss with the seemingly friendly couple.
Phase 1 was the hypnotism. That's how they sedate you. Phase 2 is this. Mental preparation.
Following a series of unnerving encounters with the family, Chris is hypnotized and wakes up bound to a chair, a videotape informing him of his fate, to have his brain removed so that a rich old white person can have his body instead.
So you won't be gone. I mean, not completely. A sliver of you will still be in there somewhere.
This twist, itself a commentary on how black bodies and physicality are commodified by seemingly well-meaning white people, cemented Peele and the film as horror royalty. Number 9. It's all in the killer's head. Identity.
Who am I speaking to? Look at me. Who am I speaking to right now?
In this horror/thriller from Logan director James Mangold, a group of strangers find themselves stranded in a secluded motel and stalked by a mysterious killer. But this isn't your run-of-the-mill slasher movie. It's revealed late in the film that almost everything we've been seeing has been taking place inside the mind of a convicted serial killer.
Why are you telling me this? Because you, Edward, are one of his personalities.
The victims are actually the killer's multiple personalities, and they're being killed off as part of his treatment. The "it was all a dream" or hallucination twist is honestly a little played out, but this version offers an admittedly fresh spin on the well-worn idea, to great effect.
Where is my faith?
Number 8. Mrs. Voorhees is the killer. Friday the 13th.
How are you? Well, I'm Mrs. Voorhees, an old friend of the Christies.
The machete-wielding, goalie mask-wearing Jason Voorhees is without a doubt one of the biggest slasher icons. But as horror aficionados are fond of pointing out, he wasn't the primary villain in the first film in the Friday the 13th series.
Jason should have been watched every minute.
After a number of fellow camp counselors are brutally murdered, the film's protagonist Alice discovers that the killer is in fact Mrs. Voorhees, the mother of a deformed boy who drowned while the counselors were, shall we say, distracted.
They were making love while that young boy drowned.
Needless to say, the revelation that the seemingly kindly old lady in a sweater is a crazed killer doesn't do much to make Alice's day better.
Look what you did to him!
Number 7. The Girl Isn't Missing. The Wicker Man.
You, Sergeant, are the right kind of adult.
Before it was remade with Nicolas Cage and turned into an internet meme, this 1973 horror film was a darling of British horror cinema. The film begins when a police detective arrives at a small town on a secluded island after a local girl goes missing. But it quickly becomes clear that something is terribly wrong, and that the villagers are part of a dangerous pagan cult.
You came here to find Rowan Morrison, but it is we who have found you and brought you here, and controlled your every thought and action since you arrived.
The detective suspects the girl might have been taken as a human sacrifice, but it's worse. The girl was never kidnapped, and it was all a ploy to lure him to the island to serve as the sacrifice himself.
No! Think! Just think what you're doing! Think what you're doing! Think!
Number 6. Jigsaw is the dead body in the bathroom. Saw.
You're gonna be alright. You're just wounded in the shoulder.
This infamous horror flick not only kicked off an entire franchise, but arguably started a whole new subgenre. While the sequels went on to more gruesome and elaborate gore, the first one keeps it fairly simple. Two men find themselves chained in a bathroom, with a corpse between them and a hacksaw each. The only way either of them can escape is to take that hacksaw to their own ankle. After much bloodshed, it's revealed that Jigsaw, the mysterious killer who orchestrated the whole thing, has been in the room the whole time, posing as the corpse lying between his two unlucky victims. Shocking, effective, and oh so twisted.
Game over.
Number Number 5. The family are ghosts. The Others.
Don't speak to them! Why? They're dead!
This spooky, atmospheric horror gem stars a woman named Grace and her 2 children, who live in a secluded mansion following World War II. As anyone might if they lived in a house this creepy looking, Grace begins to suspect that her home is haunted. Turns out she's right, but not in the way she expected. After a series of terrifying encounters with what seem to be spirits, it's revealed that Grace and her children are the ghosts haunting the house, and the visions they've been seeing are the new residents.
Children, if you're dead, why do you remain in this house?
It's a clever inversion of the classic haunted house scenario that caught most cinema goers completely by surprise.
What happened?
They made contact.
Number 4. What David needlessly does to his group. The Mist. Things look about as grim as they can possibly get for painter David Drayton and his family.
Guys, let's get out of here now.
After a strange mist envelops their sleepy New England town, monsters begin emerging from the strange fog and exterminating everyone they can get their tentacles, pincers, and claws on. David and his son flee in their car along with some other survivors in a desperate bid for safety.
4 points.
There's 5 of us.
Eventually, the car runs out of gas, leaving David to shoot his friends and son to keep them from a grislier fate. With not enough bullets to go round, David leaves the car to be eaten by the monsters, only to find the military has arrived to save the day. Talk about too little too late. Number 3. Stu and Billy are the killers. Scream.
Surprise, Sydney.
This trend-setting slasher movie revitalized the genre for a new generation by injecting a dose of self-aware meta-commentary to liven things up.
What's the matter, Sydney? You look like you've seen a ghost.
This mainly takes the form of the teenage characters, who recognize that the mysterious killer stalking them is following the traditional rules of slasher films. Namely stuff like if you have sex, do drugs, or say, "I'll be right back," you'll be the next one to die. But rather than just 2 horror movie fans familiar with the tropes of the genre, the characters of Billy and Stu turn out to be the killers themselves, making the horror movie awareness of the Ghostface killer suddenly make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, it would put her out of her misery, because let's face it, Sydney, your mother was no Sharon Stone.
Number 2. Malcolm Crowe is a ghost. The Sixth Sense.
I think I can go now.
The twist so infamous it started an entire meme remains a fan favorite, even if it turned a promising new director into the twist ending guy. The film tells the story of a young boy with the ability to see ghosts, which obviously leads to a near non-stop parade of terrifying encounters with the unquiet dead. Things look like they're getting better when he meets a child psychologist determined to help the boy, to make amends for a previous failure. But in the end, it's famously revealed that Bruce Willis's Dr. Crow is a ghost himself, having died after the film's opening scene. For cinema goers in 1999, it was one blown mind after another.
You were never second. Ever.
If I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times, but I love movie twists. I'm the type of person who generally does not go looking for them, so I rarely see them coming. So I love that feeling of, oh! Number 1 is the OG in that department for so many reasons. So let's look through some honorable mentions, and then we'll name our top horror movie plot twist. Simone was trapped and died behind the walls. The Orphanage.
Mamá, ¿me puedo despertar?
Johnny is Harry. Angel Heart.
And I didn't kill Margaret, and I didn't kill Cruz Mark, I didn't kill no one.
I'm afraid you did, Johnny.
My name's not Johnny.
All killed by your own hand, guided by me naturally.
Mary was dead all along. Carnival of Souls. Sarah's escape was a hallucination. The Descent. Crispin, Z, and Felix planned the whole thing. You're next.
You kill me, you get nothing. You pull this off, I'll give you 400,000, okay?
Number 1. Norman Bates is the killer. Psycho.
Mrs. Bates.
Even before the shocking reveal at the film's climax, Alfred Hitchcock's horror opus already had audiences scared out of their minds. But that ending just made things worse. After watching numerous characters seemingly die at the hands of the apparently demented Mrs. Bates, audiences were stunned to learn that the killer was, in fact, her soft-spoken son Norman, who had preserved his dead mother's body and taken on her identity. Even decades after the film's release, and subsequent enshrinement in popular culture, the reveal at the end of this legendary film remains the most shocking and memorable twist ending in the history of horror cinema.
What's better than one plot twist? How about many? Here now are all the movies that had multiple twists and turns that always kept us guessing.
You were the best that I could do, but I'm sorry, you're just not good enough.
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the most well-written movies that have more than one surprising revelation. So, spoiler alert.
Every dancer in the world wants your role.
No, this is different. She's after me.
Number 30, Saw 2. The first Saw ended in a killer twist, with John Kramer rising from the bathroom floor and revealing himself to Adam. So the filmmakers thought, how can we top that for the sequel? The answer was, include all the twists. We learned that the test house is actually connected to the dilapidated bathroom from the first movie. We learn that the footage that Matthews was watching wasn't actually live, but pre-recorded days in advance.
It's not live.
We learn that Daniel was inside John's safe the entire time, mere feet away from his father. And finally, we learn that Amanda is now working with John, and it helped set up Matthew's test.
Hello, Eric. You probably don't even remember me, but you changed my life once. You sent me to prison.
It's just twist after twist, and we are here for it. Number 29, A Simple Favor. This thriller from director Paul Feig updates the noir genre, bringing its twisty tropes into the 21st century.
I especially want to thank everybody who's written in to ask about Emily. It's been 4 days now.
It all starts with Stephanie Smothers, a young vlogger who befriends the luxurious Emily Nelson.
I guess I'm probably not the kind of person you're normally friends with.
Oh, you do not want to be friends with me. Trust me.
Emily eventually goes missing and is later found dead at a summer camp in Michigan. So begins a story so full of twists and turns it's impossible to recap here. It involves all the typical noir tropes like life insurance policies, identical twins, fake shootings, double crosses, and dead people being not so dead after all.
Emily?
No, Emily's dead. Oh, no, have you forgotten already?
Where are you?
I'm in heaven, watching over you.
The script is mind-bending and meticulously crafted, weaving a story that engages viewers from beginning to end.
As shocked as you guys are about these turns of events, I can assure you nobody is more stunned than me.
Number 28, Buried. Ryan Reynolds flexes his dramatic chops in Buried. He plays Paul Conroy, a man who is buried alive with a BlackBerry.
To my wife, Linda Conroy, I leave you the $700 in my personal savings.
This phone allows him to contact the outside world, and he learns that a man named Mark White recently escaped a similar situation.
Who's Mark White?
A kid from New Hampshire, 26 years old, med student, came over here to help out local doctors.
By the end of the film, Paul is informed that a rescue team has learned of his location and is on the way to save him.
They're coming for me.
We are practically there already.
You have to hurry.
We are full.
You have to hurry. This is sad.
You just hang in there 3 more minutes.
And that is when we're hit with a brutal 1-2 punch. First, we learn that the rescue team is not actually at Paul's burial site. We simultaneously learn that the team had actually dug up Mark White, meaning he was never rescued in the first place.
I'm so sorry, Paul.
What is it?
So sorry.
What is it?
It's Mark White. He brought us to Mark White.
It is a horrific ending without a shred of happiness.
Are you close? Wait, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Where are you?
Number 27, Wild Things. Trashy but absorbing, Wild Things is an erotic thriller starring Matt Dillon as Sam Lombardo.
So who's washing your Jeep this weekend, Mr. Lombardo?
Sam is a high school guidance counselor who is accused of assault by 2 students, Susie Toller and Kelly Van Ryan.
But these are serious charges, and we need to know everything that happened between you and Mr. Lombardo. Are you ready?
So begins another story that, like A Simple Favor, is full of complex twists and turns. For one thing, the allegations were made up as part of a scam, and we learn that Sam was in on it the entire time. But that is certainly not all.
You're dead!
No, I'm not.
We also get secret alliances, crooked cops, fake-out deaths, secret masterminds, and plenty of double-crossing. Wild Things indeed.
I told you they were gonna make us look stupid.
Hey, you're right.
Number 26, Snatch. One of Guy Ritchie's finest moments, Snatch tells a complex story involving a stolen diamond and dirty boxing.
Make sure your man goes down in the 4th. You understand me now, don't you, Turkish?
The climax of the film reveals that Mickey O'Neill has been acting the chess master the entire time. We learn that he has been betting on himself to win his boxing matches, having manipulated vicious gangster Brick Top into believing he would throw the fights. Therefore, Brick Top would drive up the odds and Mickey would get a major cash out. We also learn that he pre-planned the final fight as part of a retribution scheme against Brick Top.
That is when I clocked the Pikey had money riding on himself. That's the reason the bastard never goes down when he's supposed to.
Finally, we hilariously realize that the missing diamond was actually swallowed by Vinny's dog and has been inside its stomach the entire time.
Thank God for that.
Number 25, Black Swan. Natalie Portman won an Oscar playing Nina Sayers, a ballet dancer who slowly loses her mind while competing for a prestigious role.
Not so controlled. Seducers.
The climax of the film is a mind-bender, with Nina stabbing her rival Lily to death with a shard of glass.
It's my turn.
But Lily later appears to congratulate Nina on her performance, revealing that she is obviously still alive.
Hey, you were amazing.
This is just the start, as Nina quickly realizes that she had actually stabbed herself with the glass. She then seemingly dies on stage after performing a flawless routine. It's a horrific ending, and director Darren Aronofsky gets his point across with clever, twisty clarity.
My little princess, I always knew you had it in you. Come on, let's take you out.
Number 24, The Wicker Man. A classic piece of pagan horror, The Wicker Man sees Sergeant Neil Howie traveling to an isolated island to search for a missing girl named Rowan Morrison.
You're liars. You are despicable little liars. Rowan Morrison is a schoolmate of yours, isn't she?
Well, one thing leads to another, and he's burned alive inside a giant wicker man. Let's back up. Howie eventually learns that Rowan is alive and well, but is likely being sacrificed by the island's citizens to ensure a good crop. But the truth comes hard and swift when he finds Rowan and attempts to rescue her, but she happily returns to the islanders.
Did I do it right?
You did it beautifully! Dear little Rowan.
Howie then learns that Rowan was just bait. He is the true sacrifice.
Well, don't you see that killing me is not going to bring back your apples?
He takes the bait, gets captured by the islanders, and is burned alive while they merrily sing a folk tune. Number 23, Moon. Duncan Jones crafted a modern sci-fi masterpiece with Moon, which explores heavy themes involving artificial intelligence. Sam Bell is mining helium-3 on the moon when he crashes his harvester, falling unconscious. When he regains consciousness in the moon base, he returns to the Harvester and sees himself laying in the driver's seat. Plot twist 1.
Who is he? Who is he?
We need to get him to the infirmary.
The base's AI system Gertie then reveals that both are clones of the original Sam Bell, who returned home long ago. Plot twist 2.
What about the original Sam? Huh?
I'm the original Sam!
Clone Sam then discovers hundreds of stored copies, revealing that the mining company has been using clones to harvest the helium. Plot twist 3, and one that sends the movie into its deep emotional core.
We're not programmed. We're people. You understand?
Number 22, Vertigo. This is a suitably named movie with a dizzying story.
Scotty, do you believe that someone out of the past, someone dead, can enter and take possession of a living being?
No.
Retired policeman Scotty Ferguson is working as a PI and is hired by an old schoolmate named Gavin Elster. Gavin wants Scotty to follow his wife Madeline, as he believes that she's up to something. So begins an impossibly convoluted scheme that Scotty slowly begins to unravel.
Where do you go?
No,
what takes you away? When you jumped into the bay, you didn't know where you were. You guessed, but you didn't know.
I didn't jump.
The story is packed with twists, like the reveal that a woman named Judy was impersonating Madeline, that Judy was hired by Gavin to do so, that the real Madeline was murdered by Gavin, and that her death was staged as an act of desperation.
You were the copy. You were the counterfeit, weren't you? Was she dead or alive?
Daddy's broken her neck!
He'd broken her neck.
It's an endless web of deceit, and you need a Charlie Kelly evidence board to figure it all out. Number 21, Identity. What begins as a Christie-esque murder mystery ends with a divisive twist that shatters the movie's sense of reality.
Carolyn Suzanne was murdered.
What? Who's Carolyn Suzanne?
What?
10 strangers are trapped inside a motel and systematically killed one by one. The twist reveals that these characters are actually personalities inside the mind of a mass murderer named Malcolm Rivers.
He's had a very troubled life. He was arrested 4 years ago and convicted of the murder of 6 people in a violent rampage.
They're being killed off under the orders of Malcolm's psychiatrist, Dr. Malik, with the hopes of eliminating the homicidal personality.
Why are you telling me this? Because you, Edward, are one of his personalities.
That's the major twist, but the movie ends with another. It's revealed that young Timmy is actually the homicidal personality, and that he faked his death earlier in the movie.
Timmy.
The twists can be difficult to digest, and they had viewers either gleefully shocked or shaking their heads in disappointment. Number 20, Knives Out. This whodunit begins as all good mysteries do, with a rich dead guy, a greedy family, and a will.
Oh my God.
Is there a problem?
The first twist comes when the audience learns the victim, Harlan Thrombey, slit his own throat to protect Marta, his nurse, who accidentally mixed up his medication, giving him a lethal dose of morphine.
Your mom is still undocumented, and if this is your fault, she'll be found out and at best deported, and your family will be broken. But we're not going to let that happen, are we?
The story unfolds in Agatha Christie-inspired style, plus a truly incredible cable knit look from Chris Evans, and then the second twist hits.
And you know, if Marta was responsible for his death, even unintentionally, the Slayer rule would nullify the change will and you would get your share back.
Turns out Harlan's grandson Ransom switched the medications before Marta did.
Everyone swarms in, and there is no possible way you can get to Marta's medical bag to retrieve the vials.
So Harlan didn't take the morphine after all. Well, at least Ransom and his sweater got what was coming to them. A face full of puke. Number 19, The Talented Mr. Ripley. Italy, filled with golden beaches, delicious food, and murder? If you're Tom Ripley, that is definitely on the list.
Dickie Greenleaf? Who's that? It's Tom.
Tom Ripley.
This thriller follows Ripley, who's sent to Italy by a wealthy man to convince the man's son Dickie to return.
You're breaking my ribs! What?
Ripley is quickly swept up in Dickie's extravagant lifestyle, befriending and becoming obsessed with him.
We've had a great run, though, haven't we? Well, we'll still go to Venice. I mean, we could stick to that plan.
Things escalate until, in a shocking turn of events, Ripley kills Dickie and then proceeds to steal his identity.
Shut up! Dickie, 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 like a little girl all the time. Shut up!
Some friend, right? Ripley digs himself so far into a hole, it seems inevitable he'll be caught.
So, where are you hiding him? It's impossible, isn't it?
Is he really not here?
But in a second twist, as Ripley's plans are about to be thwarted, Dickie's father shows up and absolves Ripley of any blame.
Mr. Greenlee feels that there was a silent promise in Dickie's letter to you, which he intends to honor.
Right before he commits another murder. Number 18, Frailty. Stolen identities are always great fodder for plot twists, but this one goes above and beyond.
Demons are taking over the world.
Adam?
In Frailty, Fenton Meeks tells the FBI his recently deceased brother Adam is responsible for a series of unsolved killings.
Adam is the God's hand killer, Agent Dahl. He's the one you're looking for.
Fenton says Adam thought he'd been chosen by God to get rid of demons and could see a person's wrongdoings simply by touching them, a claim Fenton did not believe. If you think this is creepy, you're right. And it's about to get worse. Turns out the Fenton we meet is actually Adam.
In the valley, oh.
Adam murdered Fenton because, in a shocking second twist, Adam can really sense evil in people, and he knew Fenton was responsible for the killings. God's will shall be done, we guess.
And I got you.
Maybe. But that's not gonna bring your mother back, is it?
Number 17, Us. Jordan Peele's second feature film had big shoes to fill, and on the plot twist front, he delivered.
Huh. Who is that?
When we first meet the tethered in this horror show, we have absolutely no idea who they are or where they came from. All we know is they look like Adelaide and her family, just a lot freakier.
Once upon a time.
Finally, before the gorgeous final fight scene, Red, Adelaide's tethered, reveals the government created the tethered to control humans. But something bad happened and they were abandoned.
They created the tethered so they could use them to control the ones above. Like puppets.
Government conspiracy gone horribly wrong is already a great twist. But the final reveal, that the Adelaide we know is actually a tethered who switched places with her human counterpart as a child, is truly jaw-dropping.
Look at you. It's not my fault she left. Look at you. It's not my fault she left. Yeah, well, look at me. Look at you. Look at you.
Number 16, The Sting. Heist movies, they're chock full of twists, but The Sting delights us more than most.
Glad to meet you, kid. You're a real horse's ass.
Luther said I could learn something from you.
Paul Newman and Robert Redford play Henry Gondorf and Johnny Hooker, two grifters trying to con a mob boss by creating a sham horse race betting parlor.
We're gonna put down 400 grand next week. At 5-to-1 odds, that's $2 million. 20% of that is yours if you stick with us. Got a system, Cully?
This film has numerous players, fake identities, and motives to keep track of. But one of the biggest surprises comes when FBI agent Polk forces Hooker to play informant and give Gondorf up.
We've got a tip that Gondorf is going to run a con on the south side here. All you've got to do is tell us when he's going to play his chump. We come in at the sting, make the pinch, and you walk out free as a bird.
When the FBI raids the parlor, Gondorf shoots Hooker for his betrayal, and then Polk shoots Gondorf. Everyone dies, except they don't.
Okay, Henry, all clear.
Turns out Agent Polk is also a con man, and Gondorf and Hooker stage the whole thing. You gotta love the con within a con. Within a con.
It's a nice con, Hickey. I thought you were the feds myself when you came in.
No trouble, Henry. Snyder went for it all the way.
Number 15, Gone Baby Gone. Sometimes twists can take us to very dark places, and that is exactly what happens in Gone Baby Gone.
Well, she's quiet. She tries very hard to be a good girl.
What about Helene? Friends, people she hangs out with.
Private investigators Patrick and Angie join up with the police department and start working the case of Amanda McCready, a little girl who was abducted from her home. They eventually come into contact with the kidnappers and set up an exchange for the girl's life.
Geez, we got your money. It was buried in Ray's backyard. We want to give it back to you in exchange for Amanda McCready.
In a tragic turn of events, the little girl dies after a fight breaks out during the trade.
It was an accident.
But as always, it's not that simple. Patrick later learns that police detectives staged Amanda's kidnapping to make some quick cash. What's more, Amanda is still alive. She's living with the police captain, who lost his own daughter years earlier.
We're just trying to give a little girl a life.
Wasn't your life to give.
Number 14, The Departed. Do you smell a rat? Because this movie is full of them. The story follows Colin Sullivan, who is working for mob boss Frank Costello as a mole in the Boston PD.
Thank you, Frank.
You earned it. No more pencils, no more books.
And Billy Costigan, an undercover cop trying to infiltrate Costello's gang.
Delivering cannolis or something?
Unfortunately for the characters in this movie, pretty much all the plot twists lead to someone's death.
You know I'd never give you up. You're like
a son?
When it's revealed that Costello is an FBI informant himself, Sullivan kills him.
I am killing you.
When Costigan finds out Sullivan is the rat, he's killed by another dirty cop,
Costello was gonna sell us to the FBI.
who Sullivan then kills to clear his own name. And finally, in the best twist of all, Detective Dignam, who Sullivan wronged, comes back and kills him.
Okay.
Cue the rat on the windowsill. Number 13, Scream. Back in the 90s, Scream basically revitalized horror movies, and did so in twisty-turny fashion. The setup is simple. There's a serial killer on the loose, and he's targeting high schooler Sydney Prescott and her friends. The audience spends most of the movie trying to figure out who the killer behind the terrifying mask is.
Corn syrup. Same stuff they use for pig's blood in Carrie.
In the third act, not only is it revealed that the killer is Sydney's boyfriend Billy, but also that he's not working alone. That's right, there are two killers.
What's the matter, Sydney? You look like you've seen a ghost.
Why are you doing this? Billy and Stu have already killed so many people, and it's looking like they'll kill Sydney too. When, plot twist, it turns out that two of their presumed victims, Gail and Randy, were not dead after all.
Careful. This is the moment when the supposedly dead killer comes back to life for one last scare.
Number 12, Spider-Man Homecoming. Sometimes a movie pulls off two plot twists that don't feed into one another. And that's what happens in this MCU joint.
I guess you already have a date to Homecoming.
Actually, I'm so busy planning and I never really got around to that part, so.
Peter Parker just wants one day of normalcy and hopes he can get it when he takes his crush Liz to the homecoming dance.
Open the door for her. Tell her she looks nice, but not too much because that's creepy.
But when Peter meets Liz's father, he realizes it's Vulture, one of Peter's nemeses.
He must be Peter.
Seriously, it's hard enough to meet the dad. No need to throw supervillains into the mix.
Hey, Pedro.
The second plot twist comes later. Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, gives Peter the opportunity to become an Avenger, something Peter has always wanted.
How are you good?
Well, I'd rather just stay on the ground for a little while. Friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
But he declines, because someone has to look out for the little guy, right?
You better think about this. Look at that. Look at me. Last chance, yes or no?
No.
Okay. It's kind of a Springsteen-y, working-class hero vibe that I dig.
Number 11, Friday the 13th. There's nothing more exciting than learning the shocking identity of the killer in a movie.
We weren't doing anything. We were just messing around.
Audiences spend Friday the 13th thinking that the summer camp in the movie is haunted by the ghost of Jason, who drowned in the lake. It only makes sense that he would be the vengeful monster killing all the counselors. So audiences were shocked when it was revealed that Mrs. Voorhees, Jason's mom, was the real killer.
Jason was my son, and today is his birthday.
Where's Mr. Christie?
Oh, I couldn't let them open this place again.
Mrs. Voorhees is a much scarier human villain, but that doesn't stop the movie from shocking you with the supernatural too. After overcoming Mrs. Voorhees, Counselor Alice falls asleep in a canoe. And who should leap out of the water to pull her under but a decomposing Jason? He's still there. Number 10, Arrival. This amazing sci-fi film stunned audiences twice. When strange ships land on Earth, linguist Louise Banks must try to communicate with the aliens.
I'm human. What are you?
In other invasion movies, the aliens almost always arrive intent on destruction. But in a refreshing twist, the aliens want to offer the world their language. Which isn't constrained by time and allows them to see past, present, and future at once.
What is your purpose here?
Then, in a bittersweet turn of events, we later learn that the flashbacks Louise has been seeing throughout the movie are not flashbacks at all, but visions of the future brought on by her ability to understand the alien language.
How can you know the future?
It's a gut punch, and one we won't forget anytime soon. Number 9, The Mist. The original ending of Stephen King's novella The Mist leaves readers wondering what happens to the characters. But in the 2007 adaptation, viewers got an ending, a twisty one filled with despair. When a deadly, monster-filled mist descends upon a small town, a group of survivors, including artist David and his son Billy, break out of a grocery store and drive away. Their car runs out of gas, leaving the group trapped. The book ends here, but in the movie, David shocks everyone by killing the group, even his son, to save them from a worse fate. As he's about to turn the gun on himself, surprise, the mist clears. It was all for nothing. Number 8, The Prestige. Christopher Nolan loves a plot twist. See Memento, Inception, or pretty much any of his other works as proof. But we wanted to focus on this magical thriller and the 2 twists it pulls off. In Nolan fashion, it is a bit complicated, so bear with us. The story hinges on the successful execution of the transported man trick. Robert Angier pulls off the trick by creating a clone of himself and allowing the original version of himself to drown.
And I win. Because no one cares about the man in the box, the man who disappears.
When a dead Angier is discovered, rival magician Alfred Borden is blamed and executed. But that's not all.
Were you the one who went into the box? Or the one who came back out? We took turns.
Turns out Borden has a secret too. He is an identical twin, and that's how he pulled off his own version of the trick.
There's nothing easy about 2 men sharing one life.
Number 7, Mulholland Drive. Buckle up for this one, folks. David Lynch's Mulholland Drive is a weird one.
Just relax.
When aspiring actress Betty arrives in LA, she finds a strange woman in her apartment.
Hi. Do you work with my aunt? No. I'm sorry. It's none of my business.
The woman calls herself Rita, but is suffering from amnesia and can't remember who she is.
What is it, Rita? I thought when I woke up, I thought sleep would do it. What's wrong? I don't know who I am.
At one point, Betty and Rita look for a woman named Diane. They find a dead body, but it's unclear if the woman is Diane or not. Then, in a strange turn of events, Betty wakes up, but she's not Betty. She's Diane.
What do you want? My lamp and dishes? Come on, Diane, it's been 3 weeks.
The story continues to unfold in bewildering style until Diane, or Betty, shoots herself. She was the dead body all along. Or was she? Listen, this could take hours to unpack. Number 6, Shutter Island.
I'm Deputy Warden McPherson, gentlemen. Welcome to Shutter Island.
This psychological thriller follows U.S. Marshal Teddy Daniels as he investigates the disappearance of a psychiatric facility patient.
So this female prisoner.
Patient.
Excuse me, patient.
Teddy and his partner follow a series of convoluted clues as they look for Rachel Solando, the missing patient who drowned her 3 children.
She considered dangerous?
You could say that. She killed all 3 of her children. She drowned them in the lake behind her house.
The clues become increasingly hard to decipher, leaving the audience to wonder, seriously, what the heck is going on?
Is there a reason you keep referring to your patient in the past tense, Doctor?
Look outside, Marshal. Why do you think?
But Shutter Island makes up for all that creeping uncertainty and delivers on 2 shocking twists.
I found a doctor in a cave out by the cliffs, but you'll never get to her.
I don't doubt it, considering she's not real.
First, the movie reveals the investigation is an elaborate trick. Teddy is actually a patient at the hospital who murdered his wife.
You were committed here by court order 24 months ago. Your crime is terrible, one you can't forgive yourself for, so you invented another self.
The second twist? Rachel isn't real, but based on Teddy's wife, who drowned their children before Teddy killed her. Dark stuff.
Where are the kids?
Number 5, Parasite. Parasite won big at the Oscars, and for very good reason.
뭐야? 누구야 이 시간에?
뭐냐?
The Kim family schemes their way into the employ of the wealthy Park family, partying it up in the Park's huge house when they're gone. But when the old housekeeper shows up one night, a shocking discovery is made.
제 물건을 깜빡 놔두던 게 있어가지고요.
Turns out there's a bunker in the basement of the Park's house where the old housekeeper hides her husband, who's on the run from loan sharks.
이렇게 4년 넘게 숨어 있는데도 빚쟁이들이 지치지를 않아. 그놈들 아직도 쫓아다녀요. 이 사람 계속 쑤셔버린다고.
Sound wild? Just wait. Everything comes to a head at the Park's son's birthday party. The housekeeper's husband breaks out and sparks a murderous rampage that ends with Mr. Kim killing Mr. Park. 2 of the best twists of all time, no doubt. Number 4, Get Out. Jordan Peele's directorial debut was one of the best films of 2017, and filled with twists to boot.
So how long has this been going on, this thing?
When Chris, who's African-American, goes to meet his white girlfriend's family, things feel a little off, to say the least. Strange housekeepers, a deranged brother, hypnotism, all red flags.
Sink into the floor. Wait.
Sink.
The first twist comes when the Armitage's plans for Chris are revealed. Turns out the family is literally auctioning Chris off to the highest bidder. A horrifying, insane twist in its own right. But wait, there's more.
Rose, we gotta go. We gotta go now.
Okay.
Is everything okay?
Tell you in the car, we gotta go right now. Is that okay?
Okay, yeah.
When Chris gets away and the cops show up, the audience assumes the worst. But it's not the cops.
Chris!
It's Chris's best friend Rod, there to save the day.
I mean, I told you not to go in that house.
Number 3, the others. Who are the real ghosts? And can we ever be sure? According to this spooky 2001 flick, no, we cannot. The Others is a fairly standard horror film at first. Grace Stewart and her 2 young children, Anne and Nicholas, are haunted by ghosts. We've all seen this movie before, right?
Don't speak to them! Why? They're dead!
But then the twists start coming. Turns out the ghosts haunting the house, they're alive. Grace realizes this when she walks in on a seance where the others are trying to contact the dead.
Something about a pillow.
Is that how she killed you?
And then comes the second twist. Grace and her children are the real ghosts. Grace learns that she smothered her children and ended her own life, and had been haunting the home unknowingly ever since.
We know the woman went mad.
Number 2, Gone Girl. This one's for all you cool girls out there.
You have to see this.
This movie completely tricks you in the beginning.
We will organize searches, put up flyers. We're gonna hold a press conference tomorrow.
Have a press conference?
Yeah, I wanna get the word out, right?
When Amy Dunn disappears, everyone thinks her husband Nick is responsible, even the audience.
Man of my dreams. Father of my child. This man of mine may kill me.
But the first huge plot twist comes with a bang. I am so much happier now that I'm dead, Amy says. We then learn how Amy staged the whole thing.
With the help of the unwitting, bump up your life insurance. Purchase getaway car. Craigslist.
It is a shocking turn, but not the most shocking thing in the movie. When Amy decides to come back to Nick, it seems inevitable that he'll leave her. But she reveals she froze some of his sperm and impregnated herself, tying them together forever.
I didn't touch you.
You didn't need to.
We're with Tyler Perry here. These two are the most messed up people we know.
You and Amy under the same roof? You should pitch that as reality television.
Number 1, Psycho. Ah, the mother of all double twists. Hitchcock's horror masterpiece may be spoiled for everyone today, even if you've never seen it, but that doesn't change just how shocking the movie was in 1960. Marion Crane, played by Janet Leigh, is on the run after stealing some money. She stops at the Bates Motel and meets Norman, who runs the motel with his mother, Mrs. Bates.
If you want anything, just tap on the wall. I'll be in the office.
Thank you, Mr. Bates.
Norman Bates.
Then, in one of the most famous scenes in cinema, someone kills Marion in the shower. Janet Leigh was a massive star at the time, so it was a shock to see her gone so quickly. The final twist reveals that Norman is the killer, and he killed Mrs. Bates, but manifests her as an alternate personality.
I hope they are watching. They'll see. They'll see and they'll know and they'll say, why, she wouldn't even harm a fly.
Did you call any of these twists?
You've been up here too long, man. You've lost your marbles.
The old plot twist can do wonders for a movie. Heck, it could even redeem some lackluster films. Here's the proof.
It's not considered conjoined because the underdeveloped twin is dependent on the body of the other. Like a parasite, Gabriel feeds off Emily.
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 unexpected plot twists that redeemed bad movies.
It's impossible! It can't be!
For this list, we'll be looking at the films that aren't the best, but save themselves from mediocrity with jaw-dropping twists. Since we'll be talking about the stories all the way through, here's your spoiler alert. Which movie do you think has a twist that boosts its quality? Number 20, The Devil's Identity, Devil. Devil deserves points for an exciting premise. 5 strangers are trapped in an elevator. One by one, a person is killed by someone in the group while everyone tries to figure out the culprit.
He's probably trying to figure out which one of us is the murderer.
Although it's an interesting story setup, Devil becomes too similar to Saw. The film basically becomes about how gruesome the next death will be. These cheap thrills aren't particularly exhilarating until the climax. It turns out that an elderly woman who died early on is the true villain. Even more surprisingly, she's the actual devil. The antagonist deliberately trapped sinful people together to collect their souls.
You're not good.
I know.
You think you can make up for the choices you made?
No.
You think you can be forgiven?
This flips Devil's story on its head, since each person deserves to be held responsible for their crimes. Number 19, the real villain, the Nutcracker and the Four Realms. This fantasy adventure is about protagonist Clara bringing peace to a magical land. She teams with the Sugar Plum Fairy while grieving her mother's death, the former queen of the realms.
Mother Ginger's the one who began this war. I hope you'll be the one to finish it.
The film's good versus bad outline lacks originality, feeling like a rehash of superhero movies. Its twist does signify deeper themes relating to Clara's loss, as Sugar Plum's betrayal comes to light. Mother Ginger, the supposed villain, is revealed to be falsely accused. Perceiving the death of Clara's mother as abandonment, Sugar Plum plans to become queen in her place.
Your mother abandoned us. And then she just expects us to carry on and play nice. Well, I don't want to play nice!
Meanwhile, Clara accepts losing her mother, empowering herself to defeat the villain. This turn of events contrasts the two characters, adding the required emotional depth that's lacking for most of the story. Number 18, the real Brahms, the boy.
Miss Evans, allow me to introduce Mr. Hilscher.
Miss Evans.
And this is our son, Brahms.
American nanny Greta is given the strange job of looking after a porcelain doll named Brahms. This begins a drawn-out plot about odd events surrounding the doll, which convinces Greta that it's possessed by the spirit of her employer's deceased child. Unfortunately, much of the boy's runtime is about jump scares that don't do much to move the plot forward. It's only at the end when the payoff for these shock value moments arrives. Brahms, the titular boy, isn't actually a boy. He's not even a ghost. Brahms has been alive this whole time, living within the house's walls to spy on Greta.
Miss Brahms.
It can't be.
The movements of the doll were all orchestrated by Brahms himself, providing an impressive turn of events to an otherwise formulaic film. Number 17, the truth behind the community. Don't worry, darling. In a seemingly idyllic 50s town called Victory, housewife Alice Chambers starts to notice things are off. She realizes her husband Jack and all the men are hiding a secret.
Do you even know what Frank is actually doing?
Classified. We're not even allowed to discuss our jobs with other departments. You know that.
What if Margaret was right?
Stop it, Alice.
What if this place is dangerous? What if—
Stop it!
Don't Worry, Darling suffers from an identity crisis, not fully committing to being a psychological thriller or a commentary on male fragility. After wasting some of its runtime on these themes, the final act of the movie turns things around. Alice comes to know that Victory isn't real. It's a simulated reality where she and the other women are trapped by the men.
Do you consent to the physical and medical requirements for entry to Victory?
Yes.
Are you aware that you are responsible for the physical upkeep of your chosen life?
Yes.
This brings context to the odd behavior of most of the characters, as they knew the secret all along. The revelation also adds much-needed tension to Alice's bid for freedom. Number 16, Crash Landing, Life. Life is too similar to other alien-based films to feel original, featuring a story about a species that slowly takes out a space crew one by one. It has a rather generic plotline where the characters figure out a way to stop Calvin the alien.
Control. This is Station. Station for Control. The specimen's location is unknown. It is to be considered hostile and deadly. Our intent is to isolate and destroy it in compliance with protocol.
The ending makes it appear that Miranda North has escaped, while David Jordan has sacrificed himself to prevent Calvin from reaching Earth.
You fly out into deep space.
With Calvin, yes.
Meanwhile, you get into boat B.
You press the button, and if there are no complications, then it takes you back home.
No, we should lure Calvin together.
Miranda, that doesn't make any sense.
The film's final moments are where this seemingly predictable story takes a huge turn, as it was Miranda's pod that was knocked off course while David has reached Earth with Calvin. This changes life's direction completely, leaving us stunned with the chilling realization that humanity might be doomed. Number 15, Morty's real identity. Click.
Where's the box? Does it come with directions?
Not necessary. Just point, click. Eventually, it will program itself.
Perpetually frustrated, Michael Newman is offered a time-skipping remote by a mysterious man named Morty. While Michael initially has fun with it, his life ultimately spirals out of control. Click has some emotionally stirring moments, but the slapstick comedy can become annoying to watch. The premise also overstays its welcome after several time skips. But the reveal of Morty's true nature saves the movie. With decades skipped beyond salvation, Michael finds out that Morty is the angel of death.
An angel, Michael.
An angel? I thought an angel was supposed to protect people.
The angel of death.
The remote was a way for Michael to appreciate his life, giving him an extremely long lesson to learn. Unlike stereotypical portrayals of the angel of death, Morty isn't an evil entity, but someone who shows Michael that he's been making the wrong decisions in life. Number 14, Jamie's father, Dead Silence. Jamie Ashen tries to figure out a way to end his family's curse as the ghost of ventriloquist Mary Shaw looks to end his bloodline.
All these years you've resented me for sending you away, but I did it to distance you from this curse.
Taking a slow build toward its conclusion, Dead Silence spends a lot of its runtime showing the protagonist lost and confused. Jamie's story is riddled with many bait-and-switch moments until he thinks he's beaten Mary by destroying her last doll. However, the final moments have Jamie realize that he was led astray. His father turns out to be a doll controlled by his wife, who is possessed by Mary. With no place to run, a horrified Jamie learns this is how his demise was planned the whole time.
Now, who's the dummy?
Although the villain wins, the manner of her victory does deserve praise. Number 13, Tim's Endgame, 7 Pounds. 7 Pounds has earnest intent with its story about the power of kindness.
Because you are a good man.
No, really.
Even when you don't know that people are watching you.
But it gets very melodramatic as the film goes on, making it a bit of a drag to watch. It follows Ben Thomas, who seeks to help supposed strangers. Keeping up with the abundance of characters is difficult until the ending ties everything together. We learn Ben is actually Tim Thomas, who was responsible for causing multiple deaths in an accident. Tim is giving his organs away to people in need to redeem himself, culminating in his own demise to save 7 lives.
I got lung cancer and I needed a double lobe transplant. Tim could only give me one, of course. I must have planted a seed.
His sacrifice justifies every interaction he's had in the film, carving out Tim's role as a tragic hero and slapping viewers right in the feels. Number 12, The Truth About the Devereaux, The Skeleton Key.
Look, you said the house had a history, right? Voodoo is pretty harmless.
Harmless how?
Well, it's psychological, like a lot of that stuff. Can't hurt you if you don't believe it.
This supernatural horror contains many scenes with characters talking about hoodoo. All this exposition dulls the Skeleton Key's quality since so much talking leaves little room for scares. Kate Hudson's character, Caroline, becomes a caretaker of an elderly couple, the Devereaux. The initially skeptical protagonist eventually believes the old people are hoodoo practitioners and tries to escape. But it turns out that all of Caroline's research was manipulated to make her believe in hoodoo and prepared for possession. The Devereaux are century-old body snatchers who lure young people to their plantation. Caroline and estate lawyer Luke are the latest in a long line of victims. All the talk of hoodoo in the film were discreet hints for viewers to prepare for this grand twist.
I think it fits you beautifully. It's better than Violet. Or Grace, even. We'll get used to it. We always do.
Number 11. The Truth About Gabriel. Malignant. Director James Wan frequently uses slow burn stories with a twist. Malignant follows this template as well. It begins when mistreated Madison Mitchell's violent husband is killed.
You're in a hospital. Where's Derek? Do you remember what happened? Someone broke into your house. You were attacked? And Derek?
Madison learns that her childhood imaginary friend Gabriel is behind the deaths of people connected to her. Although the film repeats this cycle of violence more than necessary, the twist of Gabriel's sudden reappearance is worth the wait. We learn that Gabriel is Madison's parasitic twin brother, who can control her body. After being extracted from her at childbirth, Gabriel's consciousness has remained in her mind.
One twin is dominant while the other is underdeveloped. It's not considered conjoined because the underdeveloped twin is dependent on the body of the other. Like a parasite, Gabriel feeds off Emily.
The hunt for the killer went around in circles because Madison was indirectly the killer all along. This clever twist alters the context of the film's events and sets up its horror-filled ending. Number 10. David's Dream. Vanilla Sky. Vanilla Sky opens with David Ames providing his account of the events that ruined his life. An accident leaves David's face disfigured, alienating him from his lover Sophia.
Let's get it all out. Say everything now. Let's just
David.
Say everything now. Now.
I'll tell you in another life when we are both cats.
Incoherent storytelling techniques and constant tonal changes in the narrative make it confusing to keep up with Vanilla Sky. But the climax answers why David's life is a blur. He's been in cryogenic sleep for over a century, waiting for technology to develop enough to repair his disfigurement. All the mayhem shortly after his accident was a glitch in his lucid dream, causing his feelings of guilt and sadness to catch up to him.
Your subconscious did create problems. Your dream turned into a nightmare, and this gentleman was able to uncover the fabric of our work. The glitch has been corrected.
The ambiguity of David's fate is a clever way to leave viewers contemplating what comes next. Number 9. The Cat. Fallen. This supernatural horror movie's plot has Detective Hobbs and Jonesy track the demon Azazel, who possesses people hoping to cause global calamity.
Just tell me what they want.
The demons? They want the fall of civilization, the fall of Babylon, as they put it.
The premise quickly takes a downturn since Azazel's body hopping becomes played out and nothing else really happens. Fallen also comes across as too convoluted for a horror movie, but this makes way for an ingeniously simple twist no one would see coming. Before letting Azazel take over his body, Hobbs poisons himself while at a secluded cabin to ensure the demon is stranded forever.
You don't smoke anymore. That's right, I don't. You know why? Because cigarettes kill. Especially cigarettes laced with poison.
However, Azazel breaks the fourth wall to mock us for thinking the good guy would win, as he possesses a cat to head back to civilization.
Oh. You forgot something, didn't you? At the beginning, I said I was going to tell you about the time I almost died.
This intellectual twist proves the devil does come in many forms. Number 8. Remy's True Reality. Repo Men. This movie's premise is about repo men in the future whose job is to repossess artificially enhanced organs.
My job is simple. Can't pay for your car, the bank takes it back. Can't pay for your house, the bank takes it back. can't pay for your liver, well, that's where I come in.
The main character, Remy's attempt to escape the repossession of his heart, eventually spirals into a predictable chase story. The story seems to reach its cliché happy ending when a glitch brings everything back to reality. It's revealed that Remy's injury at one point in the film had caused severe brain damage, and all that he sees is part of a simulation.
Let's go, buddy.
Remy and his love interest are actually barely alive, meaning the happy ending only exists in Remy's mind. This subverts usual action movie stereotypes in favor of a dark and realistic conclusion that is bittersweet yet thought-provoking at the same time.
Sweet dreams, buddy.
Number 7. Ender's Simulations. Ender's Game. Ender's Game follows the titular character's training to prevent an alien invasion. He partakes in simulations of the alien race known as Formix, gaining victory through his strategically brilliant mind.
Ender, watch our right flank. We need backup for Bernard.
I see it. Bernard, you flag them.
Copy that, using 10 through 18.
Alive, peel right. Dink, compensate for the pull of planet G8 and go full throttle.
However, the film devotes a lot of time to the gaming aspect, which prevents the supporting characters from having much depth. It's only by the ending that the importance of the many simulations becomes apparent. Ender finds out that these were all happening in real time, and he's responsible for wiping out most of the Formic race. It's a solid twist that turns the protagonist into a villain without anyone realizing it.
I will bear the shame of this genocide forever.
No. You will be remembered as a hero.
I will be remembered as a killer!
The reveal of the Formic's true peaceful nature makes Ender's misunderstood actions all the more tragic. Number 6. Betrayal. Smokin Aces. FBI agents Messner and Carruthers are tasked to keep the informant Aces alive from mob boss Barazza's bounty.
No formal witness against the mob has been as crucial or as important as Buddy. Aces is real. He's not only essential to our case, he is our case.
Unfortunately, the influx of many characters turns this into a highly convoluted plot that runs around in circles until the climax presents the big twist. The FBI is revealed to be working with the mob, as Barazza himself is an informant, and Ace's father, whom the FBI hand over as part of their deal.
The Bureau betrayed us.
Wake up.
You betrayed us, Deputy
Stop
Director
pointing you.
Locke. You betrayed us the way you betrayed them. You
Shit.
f***ing asshole.
Disgusted that the FBI's own corrupt activities caused so many deaths, Messner pulls the plugs on both Aces and Barazza to destroy everyone's plans. After messing around with the plot so much, Smokin Aces' morally appropriate ending presents a great contrast to all the prior over-the-top violence. Number 5. Everything Comes Full Circle. Final Destination 5. The Final Destination movies have never been critical darlings, mainly because the plot lines lack many surprises.
We all gotta get off.
What are you talking about?
The bridge is gonna collapse.
What?
We're all gonna die.
What the hell is going on?
We're all gonna die if we don't get off this bridge now!
Final Destination 5 follows the same pattern, featuring yet another group's attempts to escape death, but meeting their ends in gruesome ways. The main plot ends as expected, with the survivors planning to leave on a plane to celebrate their supposed victory over death.
Are you kidding me? You're gonna make me sit in the middle seat?
Uh-huh.
I'm like twice your size.
Not really.
All right.
However, it's then that the flight is confirmed to be the one shown in the first movie, meaning that everything that's happened so far has been set up by death to lead to this moment.
Those passengers who got off the plane earlier, what was that all about?
Oh, a kid had a panic attack and wanted off the plane. Said he had some kind of vision.
No.
As the plane crashes, the story comes full circle for the franchise, making it symbolic of the circle of life and death. Number 4. Judgment Day. Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines.
No bombs fell.
computers didn't take control. We stopped Judgment Day.
By this point, it was obvious that the series would copy the format of the previous two movies. Terminator 3 does indeed follow this style, with the titular character now protecting an adult John Connor from another advanced Terminator sent by Skynet.
You here to kill me?
No. You must live.
The story is on course for the usual sacrifice by the Terminator, but the final moments take an original twist never seen before in the franchise. It turns out that Judgment Day could never be prevented, as was always believed, and that Skynet had already initiated nuclear bombs to begin a worldwide massacre.
John, what is he saying?
Judgment Day. The end of the world. It's today, 3 hours from now.
Terminator 3 baits the viewer into a false sense of security to leave fans speechless as the series' promise of a dystopian future finally comes to pass. Number 3. Esther's True Nature, Orphan. This psychological horror story centers around the adoption of a young child whose arrival sparks several incidents. Orphan is largely formulaic, with obvious signs of young Esther being an evil child.
Then you were just pretending this whole time?
I thought you would enjoy teaching me. It must be frustrating for someone who loves music as much as you, to have a son who isn't interested and a daughter who can't even hear.
The build-up seems to point toward a cliché turn for the worst from Esther, but the reveal of her true nature comes out of nowhere. As it turns out, Esther is an adult woman posing as a young girl, meaning her malicious activities were the premeditated actions of a murderer and not a disturbed child.
She only looks like a child, according to our records. Lena Klammer was born in 1976. She's 33 years old.
The twist gives the thriller the eerie sense of horror it was going for. It also makes Orphan a highly rewatchable flick, as it's interesting to go back and find clues for this twist hidden all along.
Go to your room.
Honestly, we're past that now, aren't we?
Number 2. The Truth About Eli, the Book of Eli. The Book of Eli sees the titular characters attempt to preserve the last copy of the Bible while escaping a warlord who wants the book's knowledge.
Just staying alive is an act of faith. Building this town is an even bigger act of faith, but they don't understand that. None of them. And I don't have the right words to help them, but the book does.
This dystopian movie has similarities with the critically acclaimed Mad Max series, but relies on the mystery of its protagonists so much that the action becomes a drag to watch. However, the closing moments show Eli's been hiding an even bigger secret, as the Bible is written in Braille, revealing that Eli was blind the whole time.
The first book of Moses, called Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1.
Having given no obvious clues, the twist places the protagonist's actions in a bigger context and signs off with an uplifting message. Eli's journey was always meant to be spiritual, which changes the previously bleak outlook of the film in an instant.
Doesn't have to make sense. It's faith. It's faith. It's the flower of light in the field of darkness. It's giving me the strength to carry on. You understand?
Number 1. The Secret Accomplice, Saw 3D. The 7th movie loses all the nuances and thoughtful commentary from previous entries. Instead, Saw 3D is a straight-up gore fest that relies completely on the traps. The flick's plot sees Mark Hoffman simply off everyone in his path and then take down Jigsaw's wife Jill out of revenge.
This person will go on killing until he's stopped. You know him, and he definitely knows you.
Is that right?
He's Detective Mark Hoffman.
However, Dr. Gordon, whose status was never clarified until this film's opening scene, shows up to attack Hoffman before he can escape. It's revealed that Gordon was Jigsaw's secret accomplice all along, meaning he had a hand in everything that happened in the series.
Hello, Dr. Gordon. You are perhaps my greatest asset.
This ties up all loose ends in one go, and at least gives this by-the-numbers movie the huge twist fans were looking for.
Game over.
Okay, what better way to end things today than with a look at one of cinema's best plot twist
masterminds. My God. This is like a moment from a horror movie.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're ranking every M. Night Shyamalan plot twist.
I heard a theory that they don't like places near water. Maybe we'd be safe from them near a lake or something.
We will never awaken otherwise.
I did not expect that.
For this list, we're looking at the films from this prolific director and ranking each of his signature twists based on shock factor and how much they recontextualize the plots. Contrary to popular belief, not all of his movies have twists, so you won't see them all here. However, we will be including those on which he only received a story by credit, as that is enough of a contribution to qualify. Obviously, big time spoiler alert, so fair warning. Which of these twists prompted a rewatch for you? Number 10. The trees released the toxin. The Happening.
It's scary, huh? All right, let's hear some theories about why this might be happening.
Not every twist on this list comes at the end of the movie, but none is quite as underwhelming as the one in The Happening.
We are gonna be going, but we will be back soon, okay? Plants react to human stimulus. They proved it in tests.
When countless people in the northeastern United States die under mysterious circumstances, those unaffected are left to presume it's the work of a biological weapon. While they're sort of right, the chemical is later deduced to be a toxin released by plants, specifically trees. No, we're not kidding. Trees are the villains of The Happening. Even as an ecological PSA, this feels tenuous, much in the way that at the end, The Happening just kind of stops happening. We still want to know what happened to those honeybees. Number 9. M. Night Shyamalan's writing saves the world. Lady in the Water. If you thought The Happening was on the nose, just wait until you get a load of this one. In Lady in the Water, a mystical being called a Narf arrives at an apartment complex to find and protect a writer whose future works will be the foundation for humanity. When the protagonists find the writer, he's played by none other than M. Night Shyamalan.
Mr. Ebe, I know I sent in that form. I gave it to you on the stairs. My sister's all angry at me now.
Shyamalan has inserted himself in a director's cameo plenty of times, but playing a pivotal character whose writing is so good it's destined to change the course of history is pretty bold.
You started writing again?
Yeah.
Oh well, at least that no-good film critic character got what he deserved.
A dog inside the building. Go! Shoot!
Oh, wait. Number 8. A Secret Society. Glass.
There are unknown forces that don't want us to realize what we are truly capable of.
We were stoked for this Unbreakable sequel. After our 3 superhuman characters are apprehended, they're placed in an institution where Dr. Ellie Staple seeks to convince them that their abilities are purely psychoses.
My name is Dr. Ellie Staple, and I'm a psychiatrist. This room must look nefarious.
Eventually, of course, things go wrong, and it's ultimately revealed that Staple is part of a clandestine organization that seeks to conceal the existence of superhumans. Pretty good twist. Granted, the way it's executed, particularly in the literal execution of the protagonists, isn't quite what it could have been. Thankfully, people learn the truth anyway in the form of viral videos in 2019. Is the twist actually that everything on the internet really is true? Now there's a fantasy film.
I believe that if everyone sees what just a few people become when they wholly embrace their gifts, others will awaken.
Number 7. The aliens are allergic to water. Signs. This film follows the Hess family, whose farmhouse in rural Pennsylvania seems to be an epicenter for alien activity when a mysterious crop circle appears in their cornfield.
There are only a limited number of explanations.
The eerie happenings build tension until it becomes evident that an invasion is underway. One of the aliens threatens the family inside their house. That is, until a glass of water turns it into the Wicked Witch of the West. The aliens promptly evacuate, as water proves deathly allergic to them. You would think the aliens would have done research on 71% of the Earth's surface before putting down roots, but hey, we've all had the experience of best laid plans going awry, right? Number 6. The old woman is the devil. Devil.
You know who I am now, yes?
Even though M. Night only served as the story developer on this one, his fingerprints are all over it.
Come in. It's too tight for me. You can squeeze in. No.
The basic premise follows 5 strangers as they find themselves trapped in an elevator. When strange goings-on occur and the occupants start dying one by one, it starts to seem as if one of them is actually, you guessed it, the devil.
See it?
Yeah, look, that's just grain in the image. That's, it's a mistake. It's like when people see Jesus in a pancake or something.
No.
Though we had our suspicions, the elderly Jane Kowski was nowhere on our radar, especially since she had seemingly met her violent end earlier on. Though kind of a fast one, the image of her rising with demonic eyes is a truly chilling one, in a moment that really takes this movie to the next level of fright. Number 5. It's set in the present day, the village.
What are you doing out here? How'd you get here?
Are you from the towns?
In what seems like a 19th century village, the residents of Covington live in fear of the monsters that lurk in the surrounding woods.
Leaving the flesh torn may be a sign that this animal suffers from madness.
After her fiancé is mortally wounded, the blind Ivy Walker sets out to retrieve life-saving medicine in the nearest community. Upon her exiting the woods, we learn that Covington is actually inside a wildlife preserve in the modern day.
Is someone hurt?
Please, sir, we must make haste.
The elders founded the village 30 years prior, in the hopes that they might protect their loved ones from the tragedies of society, and feigned the existence of the creatures as a way to dissuade anyone from venturing outside their borders.
We have agreed never to go back. Never!
What was the purpose of our leaving? Let us not forget it was out of hope.
Number 4. The grandparents are not the grandparents. The Visit.
How do you feel about your new grandparents, Tyler?
It's all good. I mean, they don't even know what One Direction is.
This film has Shyamalan dipping his toe into the found footage subgenre, as he derives the bulk of his thrills from, shall we say, elderly eccentricities.
Would you mind getting inside the oven to clean it?
Teenagers Becca and Tyler go to stay with their grandparents, whom they have never met, and things get weird pretty quickly. After a week of increasingly disturbing antics, the siblings reach out to their mother, who provides them a startling revelation. That's right, the people they've been calling Nana and Pop Pop are not who they say they are.
Becca, Tyler, babies. I need you to listen to me very carefully. Becca, Tyler, just listen to me.
We are.
Those aren't your grandparents.
They're actually escapees who murdered the real Nana and Pop Pop and took their places.
Maple Shade Psychiatric Hospital?
We'll be honest, we didn't see this coming at all, and it's one seriously disturbing twist. Number 3. The movie is set in the Unbreakable universe. Split.
The press is already referring to the alleged attacker by a dark name linked by a source close to the case. Because of his many personalities, he is being called the Horde.
While the final scene in Split doesn't really affect the rest of the movie, it's such a cool moment that we cannot help but love it. The majority of the plot sees 3 friends trying to escape the clutches of serial killer Kevin Wendell Crumb.
You are different from the rest.
Kevin suffers from dissociative identity disorder with 23 distinct personalities. The 24th, known as the Beast, allows Kevin to change his biological structure on a whim and give him superhuman abilities. In the aftermath, the media gets wind of the story and dubs Kevin the Horde. The story plays on a diner television, and guess who's there? David Dunn from Unbreakable, meaning Split is a secret backdoor sequel.
This is like that crazy guy in the wheelchair that they put away 15 years ago. And they gave him a funny name, too. What was it?
Mr. Glass.
This sequel tease definitely got us psyched. Number 2. Glass is a supervillain. Unbreakable.
If you're just tuning in, East Rail train number 177 has derailed just outside Philadelphia, and we're bringing you live coverage from Skycam 4.
Speaking of Unbreakable, when David Dunn survives an otherwise deadly train crash with nary a scratch, he slowly learns he possesses superhuman abilities, strength, invulnerability, and psychometry.
There is a sole survivor, and he is miraculously unharmed.
He finds a friend in Elijah Price, a man with brittle bone disease who helps David realize his potential as a superhero. In a shocking twist, David sees for himself that Elijah caused the train crash, specifically searching for someone like David who could give his life meaning.
Tell me something, David. When you woke up this morning, was it still there? The sadness.
The super-intelligent Elijah takes on the persona of Mr. Glass, assuming the role of David's archenemy. In an age when superhero movies were not taken very seriously, Unbreakable gave them serious nuance with this twist.
You know what the scariest thing is? To not know your place in this world. To not know why you're here.
Number 1. Malcolm is Dead, The Sixth Sense.
I see people. They don't know they're dead.
How often do you see them?
All the time.
This entry being number 1 isn't a twist. Shyamalan cast Bruce Willis to play Malcolm Crowe, a child psychologist who seemingly survives an incident with a former patient. He then counsels the young Cole Sear, who can see ghosts who are unaware of their own passing.
I see dead people.
After some superb storytelling that shows Malcolm encouraging Cole to help these departed spirits, Malcolm comes to the realization that he is one of them, having actually died from his gunshot wound earlier on. It's with this knowledge that Malcolm is able to complete his business and pass on himself. This changed everything that came before and made rewatching the film a must. Let's face it, when M. Night is on, he is freaking on.
They only see what they want to see.
Well, that's going to do it for this twisty little special. Hope you enjoyed yourself. I definitely did. I've been Matt from Watch Mojo, and I'll see you next time.